Hey, Car, what's up?
Hey man, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Welcome to RockEyez, man.
Thank you.
No problem. Tell me a little bit about maybe your first recording that you worked with Tom over at Paris Records.
Oh my God, wow, you're really taking that back.
Well, he's a good friend, so I got to mention him.
Yeah, yeah, wow. That's like baby core days. That's like back when I was in a band called Circus from Hell,
Right.
uh, way back in the mid 2000s, and there was a lot of promise with that band. We were doing some theatrics, kind of similar to where I've gotten back to with the Kore Rozzik band now. And our management at the time was based out of Texas,
Right.
and this guy JB, who has passed on unfortunately, but he had worked with the Riot band,
Mhm.
um, and they were. It's kind of funny. It's just like that same old cliche rock and roll story of he knew Vinnie Paul and he really wanted to get us
Right.
on with Big Vin Records, and Vinnie Paul showed up at the wrong day and never saw us, but I know that Paris Records at that point was uh, they were involved with Diamond Studios, which was half the Diamond amps and the other half was the studio, and it was being run at the time by Bobby Blotzer.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, and it was crazy because like Bobby was working on that side project with Janie Lane, and like I was literally getting to hear like stuff that never was released, and him running out to talk to Janie on the phone. So yeah, I was a young kid at that time. It was my first kind of out of New York City experience. Wasn't really quite. It was pretty green. Wasn't really ready for it yet. But in the midst of all that, yeah, we were on like one or two, I think, compilation CDs. But the band ended up not working out, so it was kind of I'm very proud of that period. I think if I hadn't done that stuff with Circus from Hell, I probably wouldn't be the songwriter that I am today. But yeah, that's really cool to kind of look back at that. Wow, that's really taking it back.
Right. Right. Tell me a little bit about when you guys played Rocklahoma in 2017.
So yeah, so we were very fortunate. We got to do Rocklahoma 2 years in a row. Our first appearance was 16, and then we got to go back in 17. And you know, Rocklahoma is really special to us because us just being a bunch of bozos from New York, that was kind of the first time we had ventured out of
Right.
the tri-state area and got a really, I would say, a fair response from people. Not just your friends or family or whatever.
Right.
They kind of validate, what we were doing and go, okay, this is really what we want to do, and it really lit a fire under asses to like want to tour and do that. 17 was interesting. It was cool to kind of come back. People had already knew who we were, so we were welcome. Um, but it was funny because we were supposed to open and close whatever day we played.
Right.
And I remembered that we did our opening set and we told her, all right, well, we'll see you tonight. We're going to close out the set. So after whoever was headlining that night, we
Right.
would you'd run over and see one last band, which would have been us on the side stage, you
Right.
know. But like a tornado or something like came in, and we weren't able to do that. And I remember coming out of the hotel all dressed up with all my makeup and everything, just staring at any trunk, just like, I guess we're not going anywhere. So, um, but yeah, no, fun memories with Rocklahoma. I mean, Rocklahoma really is what kind of got us a taste of just kind of the industry and festival life and just being on the road and playing for different audiences. So, Rocklahoma will always be a special place for us. I really would love to go back there. Hopefully, it's someday we will.
Right. Right. Yeah. I know our site covered Rocklahoma 2 years, maybe even in 2017, because there was a tornado and it ripped down a couple stages and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Actually, Trickster was supposed to go on or something like that during that time, and it was pretty deadly, actually.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary. You know.
Yeah. We were back at the Hard Rock, I think, in Tulsa or something like that. But yeah, I was kind of bummed because I'm like psyching myself up. All right, I got to do another set, and
Right.
putting on
Yeah.
the full makeup and the jacket and everything, and I'm looking like Halloween came early in Tulsa. I'm just standing there at the Hard Rock, and yeah, so yeah, that's what happens over there, though.
Yeah. 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 Tell me, in 2018, your first CD, Vengeance Overdrive. Tell me a little bit about that uh, CD. I don't know much about it, but I listened to some of the tracks. Great stuff. Tell me a little bit about it.
It's a very interesting backstory. So I mean, the record it's definitely a concept record. You know, it's got a lot of Alice Cooper influence, but it's kind of like real life turned into fantasy. I was a very unique character in the local New York City scene. I had a lot of bitter ex, you know, girlfriends and bitter ex band members, and I always kind of did my own thing. And I think a lot of people in the scene never really embraced me. So I took a lot of that real life drama and kind of blended it into this story about the bastard child in New York City and how he was, you know, blacklisted from the scene and people were slandering him. And the whole story is, you know, it's a similar story to like a Crimson Idol. I guess it's kind of Crimson Idol-y, you know, where Kore wants to be famous and he's willing to do anything, you know, sell your soul for rock and roll, you know, and meets this mistress and he starts helping her kill clients and you know, for fame and for it. So it's got some weird like cult kind of stuff and Illuminati overtones, and there's a lot of little New York City Easter eggs and the little skits and stuff. But you know, when we first started out in the scene, we were a little bit more, I would say, a little bit more hard rock, a little bit more maybe glam. I think I was a little bit more of a comedic parody kind of Steel Panther, David Lee Roth type character. And it was fun for what it was, but I think as time went on, we just got heavier and heavier, and I really showed more of my, I guess, my theatrical roots of Alice and Zombie and Manson, and my heavier roots of, you know, Overkill and Megadeth and things like that. And really, I guess just to prove our point, you know, we just kind of went heavier and more theatrical, and I think that's kind of where we're going to stay for the most part. You know, we're a heavy theatrical band. I mean, I think for some real metalheads, we're probably not metal enough. But which I think is always the problem. It's always like, how much heavier do I need to be? But we always wanted to do catchy songs and sing along stuff. So you got to find that happy medium. And I think that's kind of where we teeter. We kind of teeter on that hard rock metal wheelhouse. You know, it's right on the teeter of that.
Right. How much has your stage show changed from the earlier days to now?
Well, you know, it's funny. Some people still call me Alice Cooper on a budget, and you know, it couldn't be further from the truth. But you know, we do a lot of lights and smoke now. You know, we always have, you know, lights and smoke shooting up and flares, and I do a lot of very handy props. You know, for Spellbound, you know, I come out with the top hat and the voodoo doll and the water sprinkler, and I mean, these last shows with Ace were fantastic. They were little mini theaters, so I actually got to run into the stands and really just start whacking people with the water, and nobody punched me in the face, so I that was good. You know, I do. You know, I throw out money. I got a briefcase, and you know, I hit myself in the head with a hammer sometimes. You know, so mostly handy props. You know, I mean, if we had the budget like Alice Cooper, it would probably be a very similar show. I mean, we really aspire for our music to be kind of like a rock opera, and you know, maybe someday it'll be kind of like a Broadway play. I think that would be kind of what I aspire to do. We really try to put on a fun show, you know.
I can see that in your videos, so you know, that's why I asked that question, because I saw, you know, a little bit of your live show and stuff like that with like both sides smokes going up, and I saw you with the top hat and the briefcase and stuff like that. That's kind of like stuff I'm into. You know, so like, you know, it's always enjoyable to see that, better than like, you know, the old cliche too, dungarees and a t-shirt. And,
sure.
I don't want to see that, really. You know, it happens. And, but, you know, as a photographer, you want to see a show, you want to see good stuff like Lizzie Borden, you know, stuff like that. You know, it's always great to photograph stuff like that.
Yeah, we try to be photogenic as possible. And now that we have kind of the new lineup, and there's just so much energy and stage presence with the new lineup, I think everyone's really excited about, you know, what's next for us, you know, so.
How was it opening for Ace Frehley?
It's been fantastic, man. You know, we've just kind of by happenstance been slowly kind of getting into that whole, like, kind of Kiss army, you know. They're like, there really is this extended like Kiss family of, you know, the guys who aren't in Kiss anymore, and who are still active, like Ace, obviously, and just the fans and the supporters and the investors of people that help, you know, do the Kiss cruises and all these other things. And we just we got lucky a few months ago. We ended up doing Creatures Fest in Nashville, and it was just we have a tendency to pop up out of nowhere sometimes pleasantly, you know. And the opening night, I mean, the bill was Kore Rozzik, John Corabi, Enough's Enough, Ace Frehley with Peter Criss. And it's weird. This is the first time in a really long time now that I've actually been kind of nervous before I go on stage. For quite some time I really wasn't nervous at all, but like now it's this thing where we're getting into these type of shows where it's like people have heard of the band, people know we're good. It's like, well, I better be good. I'm like, you know, I can't phone it in. I have to be good. So yeah, it's the pressure is on a little bit. Not that every gig back when didn't matter, but I feel like now we really are starting to kind of claim our thing is, hey, yeah, we've been kind of this hidden gem from New York that's done some stuff, but now we're really ready to really come out there and really show people what we got. You know, we're here to stay. That's really the message at this point. So, but it's been fantastic. The Ace Frehley camp is very, very sweet, very professional. Everyone in Ace's band has been very, very supportive, down to the crew. There's just a lot of positivity there, and I really think long term it's going to open up some really good doors for us. So we're just kind of enjoying the ride and, you know, staying the course and knowing our role, you know.
Right, yeah. How was Creature Fest?
Creatures Fest was fantastic. I mean, it was really refreshing because there was a lot of industry people. You know, I got to really hang out with, you know, Chips Enough a couple of times. You know, I got to you know, talk to the guys in Trickster. You know, Chris Jericho was there. You know, a lot of booking agents were there. And even just the organizers who do a lot of these special KISS theme events, just for them to kind of validate, okay, we made the right choice, you know, picking you, because we're kind of this interesting product where some people are like, oh, I don't know about them. Maybe I've heard something about them, good or bad or indifferent, you know. But everybody was like, no, you guys really kicked it, you know, really helped to kick off the show. It was good. And it was very refreshing to see people from the industry kind of embracing us and wanting to help us with the next steps. You know, we're from New York. We're not used to people being nice to us. So, you know.
Don't worry, I'm from New York too. So, yeah, now New Jersey, but you know, the total state.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about you know, some of the covers that you do. I know I saw Hangar 18, which was a great song, and you did a great rendition. What other songs you do?
We do a lot of different covers, actually. Our guitar player Alex is really the one that spearheads the cover thing, and we debate about it all the time because, you know, some of us are kind of like, well, why do we need to do covers, you know? But I find sometimes playing covers is good. Even though I think we stand very strong on our originals, you know, a lot of times you play for people, they don't know who you are, so it doesn't hurt to put something in the middle that kind of can get them to the other half of your set when some of your stuff is unfamiliar. But we were on tour with Nita Strauss for a couple of months back in 19, and we kind of figured, well, we got to do like a shredder song, you know. Nita's a shredder, we got to, you know. So we said, oh, let's do Hangar 18. And it was a good way to show off the band because that song only really has like 2 verses, 2 choruses, and then the other half of the song I can run off stage, take a breather, and the band can show off. And it was crazy because Nita's manager kept like teasing us about the Nashville show, like, oh, you better have your A game, better be on your best behavior. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, yeah, okay, what's going on? And we're playing Hangar 18, and then comes my part where I'm done, and I jump off stage, and it was like a scene out of the movie, like, you know, Nita's manager's like, oh, Kore, come here. And the door, there's like a backstage door. It opens real slow, and there's David Ellefson just like hanging out. So I'm like, what are the freaking odds? Like the guy from Megadeth is here listening to us play. So that was so cool, and that was a weird week too, because I was actually the week that, like, a few days later, I could tell something was off when I was talking to Kiko. Like literally, like 2 days later, they announced that Dave Mustaine had cancer and everything. So then for the rest of the tour, we just dedicated it to Mustaine for the rest of the tour, you know. So we've done that. We've also done Rockwell, Somebody's Watching Me, which is actually one of my favorite covers to do.
Too. Yeah.
You know, it's not something that people play too often. I really don't like to do songs that everyone else does. But I feel like that's a Kore song. I kind of modernized it, and I kind of was basically just like, oh, you know, the paranoia of like somebody's watching me, you know, you know, Dr. Fauci is watching me, you know, Facebook is watching me. So, and I still would love to record that song and do a really funny like video for it, because some of our videos are like dark and serious, some are like silly. But we've done that. We're currently doing we're doing Keep on Rocking in the Free World. We're doing that now.
I love that
Um,
song.
we started doing that during the whole war with Ukraine.
Right.
My guitar player Andre's from Belarus, and my family came here from Ukraine in 1910. So we have those Eastern European roots.
Right.
So we started playing that, and that's been getting over well. But we also we're doing this really funny medley that we started doing, where it starts off with "Ain't Talking About Love," and then it segues into "Everybody Wang Chung Tonight," into "Everybody's Working for the Weekend," into "Born in the USA," back into "Ain't Talking About Love." So we've been busting that out, just to kind of do something different,
Right, right.
And but yeah, we do our fair share of covers when needed to. I don't like to do too many covers. I really like to stand alone on our show, but I think covers are good. Sometimes it breaks it up a little bit, kind of lightens the mood,
How does it feel like when you guys are the headliner, and how do you go about picking a support act?
That's a good question. It really depends. I find like if we're doing headlining shows like in the tri-state area, I always try to get like some of my friends on the bill, or people that I really like. I mean, even back like in the old like New York City scene days, I used to do shows called Core Fest, and I really started doing them because nobody would put me on the big shows, so I would just make my own shows. And I would always just pick bands that I generally really liked. But I find when we go out on the road to other places, it's really kind of up to the promoters to kind of pick people that are willing to play with us. I always thank people for playing with us, because we're not a huge band, so sometimes people might be like, well, why do I want to play with them? Why do I want to sell tickets for that?
Yeah, definitely.
So but anytime I can have some sort of influence on the bill, I definitely like to do that, because it's nice to play with people that you generally like, the music.
Is it difficult to find venues in our area? I mean, you got our Arlene's Grocery, you got Dingbats, you got Debonair. There's not too many clubs around anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's funny because we used to play Dingbats back in the day to kind of mix results, and we kind of just took a shot in the dark and said, let's go back there. I really saw something in the club. My band wasn't sure about it. We did a headlining show there in April, I think it was. And I mean, people came out in droves. It was a really good crowd, great energy. And Michelle and the staff, they're all fantastic, and I've relocated. I'm living in Pennsylvania now anyway. So I feel like that's a cool, like, happy medium where there's like New York fans, New Jersey fans, PA fans. They can all make the trip there in one solid spot. And we're obviously playing there Saturday, headlining, and it's an all ages show, so everybody can bring whoever they want to bring your kids, bring your nieces, nephews, whatever. But yeah, we're really holding down the Dingbats connection right now. And we used to do Arlene's Grocery about once a year. We actually used to do my birthday at Arlene's Grocery. We're actually doing my birthday at Dingbats this year. But yeah, in New York City, there's not too many venues. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, for a very long time now, our goal has really been getting to that next level, touring nationally and building up other markets. So, if we only play 2 or 3 times tops in New York, that's more than enough, for us. I'm not, I don't feel bad about it.
Right. So August 20th, you'll be playing Dingbats, your birthday bash. You're doing Reality Suite, great bunch of people there too.
Yep.
What can people expect by that show about your band?
Well, it's gonna be a fun show. This is probably like what every show is different, and every show is special for different reasons. I mean, this show is going to be a little bit more, I think, low key. Obviously, we're still going to do the same show we do. Might I be a little bit more out of character? Perhaps. I'm going to kind of feel out the crowd, because it's a headlining show. It's my birthday show. And I handpicked all the bands. So it might be a little more of a cool, relaxed, casual night. We might not be like boom, 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 boom. Maybe I'm going to talk a little bit more, maybe stretch it out, feel it out a little bit more. Whereas some shows, it's very boom, 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 very tight. But we're going to do a full headlining show. So, I mean, if you've seen us with any other bands and you like what you saw, this is a chance to see us a little bit more in an intimate setting and see us play a few extra songs. Cause you know, usually when we're opening, we're only playing maybe 25, 30, 35 minutes. This will be a full 45, 50-minute set.
Right.
And I pretty much told the guys, I said, listen, it's going to be based on how I'm feeling and how the crowd's feeling. If the crowd's still jumping with us, we'll just keep playing. I mean, we have a lot of stuff we can play, you know, so if the crowd wants to hear it, we'll just keep playing all night. So it's going to be a little bit more of an open-ended thing, which is fun. It takes the pressure off me a little bit, you know.
So 2018 was your release. You working on new material now?
Oh yeah, you know, it's a funny thing. You know, we put out the first record in 2018, and you know, I had a lot of different ideas, and you know, originally the plan was I wanted to have a second record out in the fall of 2020 to commence with the election.
Right.
And we had spoken with the record label at the time, and there was, you know, yeah, we're going to do another one, and we're talking logistics and money and all this other stuff. And that was January of 2020. And then the pandemic happened, and everybody just didn't know what to do with themselves. And so the record never really was made. But during those shutdown periods, me and Andre and the guys, we did get together. We did make some demos. We're actually going to be doing some more demos and finishing more demos this fall.
Right.
But everything kind of got put on hold because for me, and I've said this in a lot of interviews, I don't know if other people felt this way, and it's unfortunate, but it just was what it was with the pandemic. For me personally, as a music fan, I really wasn't looking for new music. I mean, I know that being at home, people are looking for a release, an escape, distraction, entertain. So you might be excited about new music, but I wasn't that excited about a lot of new music. I mean, I was all about the new BOC record. You know, like Manson's record came and went. I wasn't quite it didn't really excite me. But I saw a lot of good, like underground, smaller bands like us put out music, and it just really went under the radar. And I just didn't want to do that. I was like, you know, we're a live band. We need to tour. And, you know, we're a very unique band. We sell a lot of merchandise, and we do sell a lot of records, but we don't sell records like a lot of bigger bands do. A lot of bigger bands can stay home and they'll get their million streams on Spotify, and they'll get their, you know, 100,000 units straight off of Amazon. We're not that type of band. You see us play, and then you buy our record at our shows. So I just, you know, and again, as great as the first record was received, there's lots of things I wish the first record would have done. I think in some places it's considered a cult classic now, but you know, it's still, you know, it still probably could have been a bigger hit if there was more money involved. You know, the same old story. But I really believe in that record, so I didn't want to put out a record again, let alone during a pandemic where it just wasn't going to get its fair shake. You know, we're the type of band, we need to be on tour, supporting it, selling it at the shows. And, you know, if you didn't buy it at the show, then you'll go home and buy it online. But that's how people really find out about us. They see us and then they buy our records. So it just, it was, I didn't feel like it was worth it for us. We released 2 singles just to let people know we're still out there, you know. But yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. And then we really spent the last 2 years, 21 and now 22, just kind of rebuilding the brand in your, you know, physically, like getting back out there and actually playing shows and kind of reminding people, hey, we're still around, come back. Or if you never heard of us, well, here we are. And yeah, we still do have this record from 18 that you can listen to. So we, you know, for a band like us, we kind of got knocked back a few pegs, whereas like the Foo Fighters could just go back and play arenas like nothing happened. So I feel like now we've kind of positioned ourselves where now when we do put out music next year, everyone will really be really ready for it. I mean, I never expected there to be like a 4-year gap, you know, between records, but I don't think anybody expected the pandemic to happen, you know. So that's our sincere, honest story of why we haven't put out music. But the goal is now to put out a really good record next year. So the pressure is on for me, unfortunately.
How difficult is like a new band trying to break into music to make any kind of impact?
It's probably really hard, you know. It's tough, you know, because I think with anything in life, if you really think about how hard something is, you probably just won't do it. You know, and like, oh, maybe it worked for me. Is it going to work for you? I don't know. You know, I mean, luckily we started young enough. I mean, I got into the New York City scene around 2010. You know, we finally started hitting the road in 16. And it really wasn't until 18, when we started touring with bigger acts nationally and released a record, that then we started really building a real fan base. And that was building up. I mean, it's cliche, but like, I think we were one or two big tours or one more single away from really getting to that next level. And the pandemic really knocked us down. But because we didn't give up, I think that's why we are where we are now, because a lot of bands did. I mean, there were so many bands that did split up. I mean, we really, you know, and it's almost like a convenient tap out. It's like, well, it's a good excuse to say you're done. Oh, it's a pandemic, no money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't give up. And even when the band was slacking, I was pushing the guys like, no, we got to do this. We got to do this, you know? And then we finally came back, and it's been well received. Like, everyone's been like really like helping us and being supportive. I guess they see that we want to do this, and some people don't want live music to go away. And that's been kind of our theme. You know, we're not really a political band per se. We're kind of more of a social band. You know, we don't try to make anybody go left or right or anything like that. We're conscious of what's going on. But with a lot of the with a lot of the shows, my message to everyone has been like, you know, enough of the bullshit. Thanks for coming out. Live music is back. Like, let's not let them take this away from us. You know.
You have any personal goals that you'd like to reach with this band?
Yeah, I pretty much where I'm at this point is I really want to go full time with Kore Rozzik next year. Obviously, I have other businesses that I'm invested in, but I'd like to go part time with my other businesses and just really be, you know, on the road 4 or 5 months out of the year, recording a record once a year. And I think it's closer than we realize, but I mean, it seems like everything's really starting to kind of open up now. And I think that's also why we're starting to get some of the opportunities, because we did kind of stick it out. So that's my goal for next year, is to put out a killer record and be back on the big stage again, you know, and kind of have a whole new team around us really helping us, which I think is kind of what's happening now. We're slowly getting some real industry support. So it's very exciting. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I think we're going to be in a much better spot than we ever were going into next year.
If you had a chance to go out with a major band, who would that be?
Wow, that's an interesting thing to say. I don't know, you know, because we're kind of like an interesting band as far as like the style of what we do. You know, I mean, it would be cool to go out with, say, like a band like Disturbed or like Avenged Sevenfold. I think that would be kind of a more current type of style that would probably work for us. Even Black Veil Brides wouldn't be a bad pairing for, I think, a band like us. I'd love to go out with, you know, just a lot of bands I idolize, like, you know, like Buck Cherry or John Five or Rob Zombie or even Fozzy would be a kind of a cool fit. But we're a great opening act, and you know, we can pretty much open up for anybody. We know how to put on a good show and acknowledge who we're playing for and get the crowd hyped up for that band. So usually people don't have a problem having us, you know, support them.
Well, Kore, it was great talking to you, and I wish you the best. Have a great time at Dingbats. Everybody go out and check out the band. Congratulations. Would you like to say anything to the fans out there?
Well, guys, it's been a long, crazy road, but I just want to thank you guys for sticking it out with us. A lot more good stuff is coming here from Kore Rozzik and the boys. So don't be a bozo, be a Kore Loco. Dead Society's coming next year.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.